There has been a history which each and every East Bengal fan wants to achieve once again. There was one history maker who has been the cynosure of all the eyes for all the East Bengal fans. 8 trophies in 3 seasons, quite a magnificent achievement. Still fresh in the memories, here we welcome the great Trevor Morgan on the official Facebook page of Digital Ideas. Welcome, Trevor.
Good evening.
I'm sure all the fans are pumping in. We have Ronak. Ronak is also a very, very good journalist, young journalist. Ronak, first of all, I'd be asking you to share your feelings when you were a kid, actually. What was your memory? Okay.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. I didn't quite hear that. It was a bit of a bad connection. You might just have to repeat that for me.
Yeah, what I said is that when Ronak was a kid, what was his memory regarding you as an East Bengal coach, in fact, to be precise? So I'm going to ask his memory and his question first to you.
Oh, so, okay, sure.
Talking about when Sir came to India, that is back in 2010, I was in Standard 5. I was in Standard 5. So today when I talk with you or have the opportunity to converse with you, it's an absolute honor. Thank you so much, Wanda, for having me on the show, and it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
No, thanks very much.
The first question which I have for Trevor, how have you been these days during the COVID-19 pandemic?
It's been okay, really. We're very fortunate that where I live in Perth in Western Australia, and we're very isolated here. So in a way, that's been a plus for us, that they've been able to control the virus quite quickly by by stopping flights coming in from outside of the borders. I was in the UK and I got back here in March, and I had to do 2 weeks self-isolation, but really that's all I've had to do, and things are really more or less back to normal here now.
Yes, I'll be taking the question from the fans for sure, but before that, I just want to ask you one thing. How much do you miss Indian football, and especially your favorite East Bengal?
Well, it was such a big part of my life that, of course, whatever happened at the end and I left, I still follow East Bengal. I still look at their results. It's a club that'll always be with me forever. The same as I'm a West Ham supporter because that's where I was born. That's where I was from. My grandfather, my father, my uncles, they all supported West Ham, and it's exactly the same with the East Bengal supporters. They're just born into it, and I can appreciate that, and I understand that, and I feel the same way.
Ronak, I'd be requesting you to ask your question. You have a lot of questions. I know you've prepared it. I'd be going to the fans. Before that, I'd be requesting you to fire a question to Trevor.
Right. So as we begin today, the first question I have for you, sir, is that you have been a part of Indian football ecosystem for the last decade, where you first came in 2010. That is before ISL started. You have managed an ISL team, but according to you, how has the Indian football ecosystem evolved in the past 10 years?
Well, I certainly think it's improved. I feel the sort of influx that the ISL gave to foreign coaches, better foreign players, can only help the Indian players. If you look at some of the players that, when the ISL first started, if you look at some of the players that were coming in training on a daily basis with the Indian players, or that, and the stature of some of the coaches that were here, that can only ever improve football. And I feel that the Indian team, the results probably over the last 5 or 6 years have been some of the best results that they've had. So I certainly feel that the standard of Indian football has improved, and the players probably understand their role within the team structure these days more than they ever did.
Right.
Yes, I have a question then, Trevor. Then I'll be going to the questions of the viewers. Uh,
Yeah.
a lot of East Bengal fans have asked the same questions to you once again. East Bengal now on the verge of joining the Indian Super League after a long turmoil. As you all know, that Indian football is complete without East Bengal and Mohun Bagan. Mohun Bagan has already joined the hands with ATK and playing as ATK Mohun Bagan from this season. I'll be taking your views regarding that. But before that, joining the ISL this time or in the next season. What's your take on that?
Well, I think it's the way forward for Mohun Bagan joining up with Kolkata, ADK. Sorry, it's the beginning of something new. I don't think it's the end of Mohun Bagan. I think it's the beginning of something new, and I really feel that all the East Bengal supporters should feel the same. Whoever they join up with, they're carrying the name of the club forward. The club colours will go forward, and it's for the supporters, as I just said. I don't think, it's not the end. It's the beginning of something new. That they're moving into a higher standard of football. I'm sure that the support base will still be there, and if that support base is still there, that can only be a good thing for Indian football.
Absolutely. Now I'd be requesting two of the questions from the fans. With a question. Onkur Avrusha has can't forget you. When I first heard you leave after the derby match, I couldn't sleep all night. I still miss you. You'll be fine, sir.
It's just come up, so I've just read that. When you hear things like that, how people feel, because I don't look at myself like that. I look at things differently than the supporters do. But it wasn't an easy thing to do. I'd been in India for 3 years, and as I say, at that time, the right thing for me to do was to come back here to Australia, where my family were. I'd seen very little of them over 3 years. And I'm just so happy that we was able to go out by obviously beating Mohun Bagan, but not just that, but by playing some really good football as well. And sometimes I enjoyed watching us play, and on that evening I did.
Yeah. Next question, as I promised, actually, it's from Costa Day. His question is: please share on the Bhutan and your experiences with Chencho. Will be an asset if he plays for East Bengal? What do you think?
Well, he's certainly got the ability to do it. Where you saw what he could do at Bengaluru. So he's played at that standard before, and he was one of the better players that were in Bhutan. It's a difficult one. I really enjoyed my time in Bhutan. But they're they're at the beginning of their football career. For the national team to improve, obviously the National League has to improve. It's much the same probably as India was maybe 10, 15 years ago, where once the standard of football in your own country improves and the players improve, then the national team improve. And India have done that. The influx of foreign players and foreign coaches. It's not really like that in Bhutan. You're picking a team from a league that isn't the strongest league in the world, and sometimes that's difficult. But I enjoyed my time there. It was a great experience, and I met some good people there as well.
Yes, and the next question I'll ask you, as I promised, while asking the previous question which I asked, Mohun Bagan. They have a legacy of 130 years. We all know that, but still, just to play in the ISL, just to take themselves to the next level, they've joined hands with ATK. What your thoughts on it, to be precise? Because I want to know what you are thinking regarding this. Because it's a mixed view. Because of a section of Mohun Bagan fans, they're ecstatic that they'll be playing the ISL. Few of the Mohun Bagan fans, they're saying, well, 130 years of legacy, you cannot write it off.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. The 100 years and how long the club have been in existence, but in today's climate, would Mohun Bagan be successful? What is success now? Is success winning the I-League, or is success winning the ISL and then getting into the Asian, the AFC Cup and the AFC Champions League? That's the way forward. And there has to be a way forward for two clubs that have so much support and so much passion behind them.
The next question I'd be taking from the fans. Let's see who comes up. Yes, Shohar Dodash has a question, sir. If East Bengal offers you once again, well, quite an obvious question. What do you think? That's
I don't know. I don't know. I think if East Bengal go into the ISL, which I hope they do, and the club is run as a football club, and as a football club should be, then of course I would, because that would be the same with any club. You have to make sure that you get the backing of the people who are at the top, that you're allowed to go and do what you need to do with the players that you want. And that's all I would ask from anybody.
You just left a small kind of a riddle while saying that. So, as you just said, I mean, in the second innings when you started over there in East Bengal, did you get the full liberty or a full power to walk freely?
In my opinion, no.
Okay.
No, as I said, I think it was after the game that we lost against, we lost 2-1 against Mohun Bagan in the game. I forget where it was now. It wasn't in Calcutta. It was just outside Calcutta. And like I said, I was responsible for picking the team, but I wasn't responsible for picking the squad. So, there's all different. There's different ways of looking at things, and I'm, you can say, well, he's making excuses. I'm just stating facts. That's what happened, and I felt that way. I felt that way right the way through. I think in my first spell there, I was supported by the club, but certainly in my second spell there, I don't think I got the support that I should have had.
What were the main difficulties last time there in East Bengal?
Well, there were just so many little ones, but if you let all these little things build up, then they escalate. But there were just things like some of the players that we signed, they wouldn't have been my choice. Sometimes the training times got changed at the drop of a hat, and we'd go training, but the hockey team would be training, and no one had told us. Just little things like that. But as I say, they can escalate, and they can upset the fluency of the team and the players. But I don't want to be too negative. I don't think I could have done any more than I did, and I was happy with how things worked out at East Bengal. As you said, winning trophies, the players being successful. I think we had, in my first spell there, we had a real good group of players. That the foreigners were very settled. We had Uga, Penn, Tolgay, and Chidi that were really there throughout most of my time, and we had a very, very settled squad. Just a few additions and a few players that left over the 3 years I was there, and you're able to build on that. But that wasn't the case last time.
Just to inform the fans, চাঞ্চল অভিযোগ আনলেন ট্রেভার মর্গান, বললেন দ্বিতীয়বার যখন তাকে ইস্ট বেঙ্গলের দায়িত্ব দেওয়া হয় তখন তাকে কাজ করতে বাধা দিয়েছিলেন কর্তারা। I'd be going to the next question. I'd be asking the next question.
I can't read that one.
No. Tumanda, I have a question for Trevor. Noba,
Yeah,
Basu, Pratap, Opara, Tolge, Payne, Robinson. Uh,
yeah,
Team ever so close to winning the I League, but never did. I mean, how painful it was for you. It was just a difference between Sydney
yeah.
or.
We had. I honestly feel, we to be successful in anything, you know, do you want to be, you need luck. You need to have luck on your side, and I do feel that that was something that we just didn't have at times during the period there. I can remember the game against the other team. Was it Shirag in Calcutta? We were winning 2-0 and Gurpreet made an error that got back to 2-1. Then it went to 2-all. And then Chidi had a goal disallowed that made it 3-2 to us. It was so close, and I've seen it many times, and I still think he's onside. And it would have made it 3-2 to us, and maybe given us the platform that we needed to go on and to win the league. So the linesman unfortunately gave an offside decision, and that was 2 points dropped, and it was hard for us to recover from that. But and also feel in my first year there, I mean, I think we played 65 games, and eventually playing that amount of games in so many competitions made it really difficult for the players to carry the momentum on that they had earlier in the season. I think everybody was, you played a game maybe in the Calcutta League, followed by the I League, then out of the country and played a game in the AFC Cup, come back again, played another game. And it was a real hard season for the players. But no, I don't. It was something that everybody wanted us to do. Of course, every East Bengal supporter wanted us to do was to win the I League, and we gave it everything. But unfortunately, we just came up short.
General question I have, I'll be going to Ronak to ask a question, but before that, I want to ask one more question to you. How much do you miss Tolge and Penn?
Well, I still keep in touch with Penn. He always sends me an email, and ask me how I am and everything. Same as quite a few of the players do. I don't really see that much of Tolge because he lives in Sydney, which is around 5 hours flying time from me. And I think he doesn't play football anymore now. He's a married man with a family. So, you have these relationships in football. You spend a lot of time together. You live with each other more or less all the time. And then, you part and go, everybody goes their own way. But he was certainly, he did a great job for us at East Bengal, Tolge. No doubt about that. I think the Tolge, Chidi, Uga, Penn were the backbone of the team as the foreigners. And then, of course, there was sort of Sulmik, Metab, Govinda, people like that who were then the backbone of the Indian players.
Ronak, the next question.
Right. So under your tutelage, there has been a lot of records. We can't finish talking about your records which you have created with East Bengal. But talking about a particular record back in 2013, there was an instance where the team went winning for straight 30 matches, which is another record for you. So how do you see that, and what was the ambience like, and what was going on back then?
Yeah, I think we went something like 32 games unbeaten from, carrying on the end of one season into the new season. And sort of, it's just, you sort of get on a bit of a roller coaster and it doesn't stop. But I feel, we did stop in the end with a big bump because we lost, I think we lost the Calcutta League game 3 or 4-0. And then Mohun Bagan beat us the following week. So it's just one of those things. If you look at Liverpool, all of the games that they've been unbeaten for, and they lost their record. They lost their record the other night, getting beat 4-0 by Manchester City. It's just one of those things happen. But obviously, the players have to take the credit for the run that we went on. I think that'll be. I don't know what the previous records were with East Bengal, but 32 games unbeaten is something to be proud of for everybody.
The next question I'd be requesting to take from the fans. Let's see who comes up with a question. Pratyay Chakrabarti has a question. He was really pumped up when he came to know that you are coming on live. So, what changes does Indian football need to become one of the top tier leagues in the world? Actually, I mean, he wants to talk about the structure of the ISL.
Well, I don't think it's the structure of the ISL. It's if you want to be one of the top footballing nations, you need to have the top players in. That's pretty simple. I think that's why the Premier League is the top league in the world now, the English Premier League, because of the players that are playing in it. Certainly in the first year, when everyone had to have a marquee player, and you've got the likes of David Trezeguet, Roberto Pires, Roberto Carlos, all these players coming in to play football in India. I don't think that's it's something now, but certainly the better the players that the league can produce or the league can bring in, the stronger the competition's going to be, and the stronger the competition, the more the players will want to come over and play in it. Footballers will go. They'll go to most places if the salaries are right.
My next question would be a one word answer. I mean, the question is, in your tenure in Indian football, I know that there were so many players who showered with so many clinical performances. What to you has been the best in terms of the talents as well as the performance under your coaching?
I'd probably have to go with Mehtab, if I was being honest, because he was so reliable. As you know, I'm just talking about the Indian players, not the foreign players, but certainly Mehtab was in the time that I was there. I mean, you could probably count the bad games that he had on two fingers. You know, his consistency levels were great. As a man and a person, he's a good man and a good person as well. And he was the backbone. He was very much one of the reasons why he was so successful. Playing in the position that he played in, I don't think there was any better player in India at that time. Now, we played Mehtab as a defensive sort of midfield player, but he allowed the fullbacks to go forward and he broke up play. He could tackle. So, I was really pleased to be able to pick him most of the time, unless he was suspended.
Next question I'd be taking from the fans. I'd be checking it out. Who has the next question? Ankit Bandyopadhyay has a question. Sir, how's your health? You seem to lose a lot of weight.
Yeah, well, that's good. I've lost all. I don't have any worry now, so I'm okay.
That's fantastic. Next question I'll be taking the fans again. Pratyay Chakrabarti has another question. And sir, I have one more question. Please share some of the experience that a coach faces setback from the club in order to manage a team in the long run. He wants to revive the memory back in 2011 when he was so successful as a red and gold coach, and then all of a sudden you came to know that you are having a lot of pressure and you had to quit East Bengal. Yeah,
it's not. I mean, the pressure's nothing to do with it. That just comes with it, and I'm okay with that. It's. I just feel, as I said previously, I feel the first time I was there, I was given the support that I needed, and I can't say that I wanted. It was the support that I needed. The club were behind us in everything we'd done, but in the second time there, I don't think anything was built long term. You know, we gave the players sort of longer term contracts in my first spell there. I myself had a 3-year contract, so everything was planned for the future and making sure that at the end of the season we sat down and we got the players in that I would have liked to have kept. Obviously, there are people at the club who knew more about Indian football than I did, because they've been in it for a long time, and I understand that. I appreciate that. And you know, some of the people that come in were great, but they have to. If you're employing a coach, let him do his job, support him, back him, give him the opportunity to foul first before you know. It's a hard one. It's a hard one to say. It's just you need backing from the people that you work with. You need to know that they're okay. They're okay with you. They support you. Obviously, there's going to come a time when you part ways. That's in football. That's part of the job. That we all know eventually we're going to get the sack. That's a given. So it's up to us how long that takes. But there has to be forward planning, without a doubt. As I say, I had a 3-year contract, so the players knew that if they signed for 2 years, then I was going to be there during that time. And the group were very, very, very settled, knew the system that we played. People come in, you know, Ishfaq, Kabra, Sanjay, Sanju, Pradhan, all people like that were in and out of the team, but they all knew their job every week, and the team was successful. And then you come into a situation where you're with players that maybe you haven't picked, and it's a difficult situation to be in.
Absolutely. Next question I'd be taking from Ronak. I'd be asking him to fire a question.
Yeah. Right. So back in your career, when you were a footballer, you played as a striker. So this is sort of a rapid fire round question where, according to you, who is under your tutelage? Who is the best striker? If I'm giving you 3 options, that is Dolge Osbe, Randy Martins, and Chidi Ede.
Who was the third one?
Chidi Ede.
I mean, I like Chidi.
Right.
I like Chidi. He was, you know, Tolga had electric pace, scored goals. You know, Ranty Martins himself, his record speaks for itself. The time he was at Dempo, we probably got Dempo got Ranty Martins at his best. I don't say we got him at his worst, but we sort of got him towards the end of his career. And I just feel the job that Chidi was a great player back to goal. You know, he was also quick going forward, but he was also a real good team player.
Right.
And that's important.
Okay. The next question I'll be taking from the fans. Let's see who comes up. Orkhu Mukherjee has a question. How India get a quality striker after Sunil Chhetri? Very good question.
Oh. Yeah, again, I feel from what I've seen in my experiences, when you know, in all the teams in the I League, in all the teams in the ISL, really, you get the spine of the team is foreign players, and by the spine of the team, I mean maybe the centre backs, the central midfield players, and strikers are foreigners. So really, that sort of holds back on the Indian strikers, because clubs will bring in a foreigner who they thinking is going to get them 20, 25 goals a season, and it sort of puts the Indian players behind them. We had, I mean, if I look back now, we had as cover we had Baljit Singh. Robin Singh as cover for Tolgate and as cover for Chidi. We had Manandeep Singh also who another one who scored goals for us. So we're all right in that area. But a lot of the clubs bring in foreigners in positions that there's a lack of Indians in. It's so hard. I mean, Sunil Chetri's been outstanding, but you know, I haven't really seen anyone. Obviously, I liked Balwant Singh when he was at Mohun Bagan. I thought he was a good finisher, a good striker. I haven't really seen too much of the ISL this season, so I don't really know who the Indian players are. But I certainly think, and that's not just in India. I think that's in a lot of Asia, that clubs will bring in foreign strikers straight away rather than go with local players. So that's really it's like a $1 million question. It's a real difficult one to answer because I don't think the Indian strikers are given enough opportunity to prove that they are good goal scorers because all the clubs have foreigners in those positions.
Okay. The next question I'll be taking once again from the fans. Let me check who comes up. Shaurya Mitra was a question. Why would you play Nikhil Pujari when he had players like Jackie Chan, Romeo and Vikas Jaidu on the bench? Was it because of the pressure from the officials?
No, not at all. So, no, they wanted Jackie Chan and Vikas to play. So it wasn't pressure from them. No, I just in the system that we played, I felt Nikhil was more suited to the defensive side of the job than Jackie Chan, Romeo, and I think Bikash might have been coming back from an injury because I really like Bikash. I like the way that he played. But this is what I mean about picking the squad and picking the team, because we had 5 wingers in a team. In the system that I played was a diamond. Now in a diamond you don't have wingers. You know, it's a back 4 with a holding midfield player, 2 more midfield players, and then 1 player behind the 2 strikers. So, you know, the club signed 5 wingers, and we don't play with wingers. So, you know, that's what I mean. How difficult it was at times, let's say. But like I say, it certainly wasn't. I wasn't. The club wanted me to play them, to play Jackie, to play Romeo and Bikash. So, you know, I just, in the system that we played, Nikhil was better suited to that midfield position than any one of those were. And by the way, I take nothing away. They're all good players. They're all good guys. And I'm sorry that I couldn't really play them, but that was just the way that our system was.
I have a question for Trevor. Do you think, back in your memories, that had you been continuing with East Bengal back in 2011, East Bengal had a better chance to win it in the 4th or 5th season under your reign of winning the I-League?
It's a good question. It's a difficult one to answer because, so, you know, it's probably similar to me where if I'd have stayed, the majority of the group from the previous season would still be there, a couple of additions. But obviously a new coach comes in and he wants his own players to come in. So the whole thing starts again. If you don't give people time, I think that the coach who came in was maybe only there for, I don't know, would it be just under a season? And then he leaves, another coach comes in. So again, the group of players that you've got, the new coach coming in wants to change it. There's no stability. You have to have stability, and we did have that in my first period there.
During your second stint with East Bengal, did you have an envy actually that Mohun Bagan had Sony Node? Can't we have him?
No, not at all. No. Sonny was a top player, and Mohun Bagan had him. That's just the way it is, you know. I don't think I sort of in the first time that I was there. I think I can't remember us losing too many times out of all the times we played Mohun Bagan. I think we had the edge over them all the way, simply because we had a better team and better players than they did. Obviously, they had a Daffer who scored a lot of goals in that football. But we seemed to always maybe just have the edge over them. Now that changed. And Mohun Bagan also now, it wasn't just Sunny Norday. They had good players in there as well. They had a good side and deservedly won the league.
I'll be taking the question from the fans next up. Let's see who comes up. Arunava Bhattacharya, you must be knowing him. Kinku, former East Bengal official. Yeah, he is a proficient commissioner these days. Here's a question, Coach. Any chance of coming back to India in future? Nice to see you in
tell him I'll come back and he can take me out for a meal.
Good one.
And I'll wear my shorts as well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how, I see some of the coaches, I don't know how you can wear a shirt and tie and long pants and a jacket coaching in India. It's so hot. I'm much more of a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. I've got to be comfortable.
I mean, he is well suited in the profile picture, which we are there on the witness.
Yeah, he's a match official now, isn't he? He's one of the. I think he's one of the match officials, or not officials. You know, I forget what they're called, but they come and make sure the teams are okay. And he's done well for himself. I'm happy.
Yeah, and he's doing fantastic at the moment. He's working in ISL, I-League, everywhere. One of the busiest match officials in the country at the moment. Okay, I'll be going for the next question. Devjit Sarkar has a question. What do you think about your career? Are you going to write a book and publish, or you were associated with any senior or junior?
I don't know. Who knows? I don't think I'm old enough to write a book yet. Maybe my later years.
Well, you're only getting younger, man.
Am I associated? No, at the moment. No, at the moment I'm not doing anything. My son plays for a team here on a Saturday afternoon, and I normally just go down and watch him play. But I love football's in my blood, so I love it. And should an opportunity come up anywhere, I'll listen to it.
Yes. When this question has arrived, actually, about writing an autobiography, I have a question. If there is something good you need to write about East Bengal in your autobiography, what would be that? And if I ask, what would be the bad things or the bad memories which would be recapitulating in your memories while writing the autobiography?
Well, I could say, I mean, we went 32 games unbeaten, and then in the 2 games we lost, we had rocks thrown at us, and I was spat on. So that's the fickle side of that's the fickle side of football in Calcutta.
and the part which you want to forget in East Bengal.
I think I met some really lovely, great people. I met some really good players. But the main thing is, I'd like to think that we made the supporters happy, because that's what supporting a team is about. It's about coming to watch a team play, hopefully being excited by how they play, and being successful. And I hope that's what I did.
Ronak, next question.
Right. Thank you, Sugunda. So you have coached in 2 countries before you came to India, that is Malaysia and Singapore. So talking in terms of the technical adaptabilities of players, how is the game there and how is the game in our nation? What are the technical changes which you have seen, or things which are different?
I probably, when I came to India, I was probably a lot more tactically aware than when I first started my coaching career, because I also learned so much during my time. I learned from the team I was at in Singapore. You know, if we came second from bottom, it was a successful season for the club. There were no expectations. It was just one team got relegated, and as long as we didn't get relegated, it was okay. So the team wasn't brilliant. So you sort of have to play a different way, because we didn't have the players that could sort of pass the ball quickly and move it or go by 1v1, 1v1. So we had to change it. And then I went to Malaysia and the same thing again. But then when I came to India, I felt I knew a lot more tactically, because the last sort of 10 years before that had given me that opportunity. And probably I'm a completely different coach. Well, not probably. I am. I'm a completely different coach now than I was when I first started my coaching career. I think I was quite vocal when I first started, and it was either sort of, listen to me. This is what we're going to do. Well, I'd like to think I'm not like that now. I listen to people's opinions. I listen to the players' opinions. They're the ones who are on the pitch. And I always feel now that you can get anybody to do something if you speak to them and ask them in the right manner. And that's the way I feel now.
Well, I have a question straight away from London, Trevor. Devan has asked a question. What do you think about football after COVID? Without spectators, home advantage simply gone. How do you looking at it?
Well, there's just, I mean, I watch it quite a lot, but it's just, there's no atmosphere. The game's okay, but there's no atmosphere there. The players get a goal and they run off, but there's no one to run to. You want to run to your supporters and to the crowd and listen to them shouting your name. And yeah, it's I know it's got to be done, but it's not the same. You need that crowd. In Calcutta for the derby. Imagine playing that game with no people. It would never be the same.
Well, Shomraj Mukherjee is a Mohun Bagan fan. He has a question for you from the arch rivals camp.
Ooh.
His question is: please ask Mr. Morgan what he thinks is the reason for the Indian players lacking stamina, fitness, and pace compared to the Premier League, La Liga, or South American players. What are the suggestions for the improvement?
I don't think there's nothing wrong. They've just not had the training that those players have. That's full stop. There's no other way around that. I think our players, I come from a background of work. You put the work in. You have to be fit. You got to be strong. So our training took that into consideration. But unless you've been part of that, then it's not going to happen. Which is, I think, why now the coaches that are coming in who are more experienced and who have a good coaching career, a career behind them where they've seen all these things. There's certainly the Indian players are, they're tough boys, and there's absolutely no reason why they can't be as fit as players in the Premier League. They've got everything at their hands now. They've got gyms that they can use. The training methods have probably changed, and I don't see that there's any reason why they can't be as fit as the boys are in the Premier League. Maybe the only thing that might let them down is how quick the brain works, because the players at the top level, they look quick and they look sharp because their brain works so quickly. A ball will come in, and before it comes in, they know where it's going. They have a picture. Ball's going here. I've got this option, that option. They pick the right option, and sometimes people see a player who might be giving the ball away or not pick the right options, and they say, "Well, he's not fit. He's not doing this." When in actual fact, it's not that. That's the main thing up there.
Okay, next question I'll be requesting to pop up on the screen. Let's see who questions. Chatterjee, East Bengali, and Abhishek has a question. Hope you are fine, State. Maybe know about your next assignment.
Well, I don't know what it is yet. That's probably an exciting thing about football. You're just one phone call away from anything. It happened to me with East Bengal, and it happened to me with the Bhutan. Just right out of the blue, the phone goes, "Would you like to come? Would you like to do this?" And yeah, I would, and that's how it happened.
The next question on the screen, I'd like to see. Moinak Mukherjee has a question. How good a player Tolke was in your first phase?
Well, he was great. Scored goals, was quick, direct. A good lad, a good person to have about the place. Absolutely no complaints about him at all. Certainly, I think just if you look at the amount of goals he scored in the games, in how many games he played, his record was outstanding. Yeah, I'm glad that he played for us before he moved on. Anyway.
Next question on the screen, I'd like to see. Shubhajit Chakravarti has a question. You hadn't used Romeo Fernandez and Jackie. I think you have already given the answer of this question. I'll be taking the next question.
Yeah. No. Like I say, yeah, I've spoke about that one already. Nothing to do with them as people or players. Just that we didn't play a system that allowed them to play, and that's it.
The next question on the screen, I'd like to see. Kunal East Bengal, how is Tolke now, sir? We don't have any news regarding him, sir.
No, I don't either. Like I say, we're a long way apart. We're in the same country, but we're a long way apart. And you live with people, you're with them, and then they go their way, you go your way, yeah, and you sort of stop talking to each other. But yeah, so I know Tolga's in Sydney. He's married, young family. So, I just hope he's well and in good health, and he's okay.
Did you ever have any offer from arch rivals Mohun Bagan to coach their side?
No comment.
Please comment. I want to know that.
I had a brief meeting once, but East Bengal.
So, ট্রেভর মর্গ্যান জানিয়ে দিলেন ট্রেভর মর্গ্যানের কাছে মোহনবাগানের প্রস্তাব থাকা সত্ত্বেও লাল হলুদ ইমোশনকে রেসপেক্ট করার জন্য উনি কখনো মোহনবাগানে যাননি। That's quite a certificate to the East Bengal fans as well, quite a loyalty to the East Bengal fans as well. পরবর্তী প্রশ্ন যাব, next question up I'd like to see on the screen. Let's figure out, a lot of questions are coming up. So we need to check who is asking what. Yeah, but I have another question actually. I want to ask that. Orko Prabhu Banerjee has a question. Your first spell at East Bengal was one of the club's golden periods with 8 trophies in 3 years. However, club hasn't been able to achieve the same success for the most of the thereafter part of the last 16 years. What do you think is the reason that you were successful and others were not?
Well, I think sort of half answered that already with the stability. I mean, that's so important. I feel even after I left, and I think Mohun Bagan had that stability. They kept the core group of the players together for 2 or 3 years and were successful. It's when you keep changing the coach, and then he changes the players, and then new ideas and new philosophies. There's no stability there. I think that's probably, if you look at, I mean, I don't know how many coaches East Bengal have had in the last, let's say, 15 years. But I would imagine it will be in double figures, and I think that's not the way forward.
I have another question for you regarding this. Did you follow East Bengal's games, Mohun Bagan's games last season?
I always looked at the results. I can't say, I sort of watch them on TV. It's really difficult to get anything on TV. You know, we don't get the Indian football here anyway. But I follow the results. Yeah, I always follow the results of the teams. Yeah, definitely.
What do you think on the take? Like when the officials are building up the squad, and if the team is not performing well, every now and then the man to be there on the guilty party is the coach, and he gets axed. So what do you think on that about Indian football?
Well, that's football in India for you. It's like that in a lot of Asia. You know, that's what I mean. That's where if you're, you know, if I employed someone to do a job for me, why would I tell him how to do it? I would employ him to do that job, and that's it. Get on with it. You know, I'll help you. I'm behind you. I'm here to give you my support. I'm here to back you when things are not going well. Brilliant. You know, that's my job. But that's sometimes a real difficult thing to get. I got it the first time I was there, but the second time wasn't so much like that.
I'd be looking for the question on the screen from the fans. Next up, Shubai Bishaj has a question. Sir, tell something about Shomik Dey. He was such a great left back.
Yeah, I agree. He was one of the ones, as I mentioned earlier. He was part of the backbone of the team. And when I got the chance to go into the ISL, obviously Mehtab and Soumik were part of that. Just a good man. Gave everything he had when he played. He was one of the players where you knew that when you picked him, you knew exactly what you were going to get from him. You knew exactly what you weren't going to get from him. He gave everything. Sometimes that was good enough. Sometimes it wasn't. But he had a great attitude, and he did a great job for East Bengal.
I have a question for you. Among all your students, among the Indian students I'm talking about, who had the best quality of being a coach in after their coaching, playing career gets over?
Well, I'll probably have to say, I know Mehtab started his coaching career at a team in the Calcutta League, I believe. You know, that he really probably needs to get into a bigger club, maybe as an assistant, because he's. I think he knows football. Certainly, he's got a good way about him. He's got good mannerisms, good character. So maybe, but it depends. It's what people want. A lot of people, after they finish playing football, I've had enough. I'm done with it. You know. But there's other people. You know, I sort of got to 30, 31, and people are saying, what are you going to do when you finish playing football? And it was sort of always my aim. As I got older, I always wanted to be involved and I wanted to stay in football. So I did my qualifications and that came about. So I'd say to any of the players, really, the main thing is go and get your coaching qualifications, and then take it from there. Yeah, that's the sort of only advice I could give.
Last three questions I would like to take from the fans, and the first question, the last three questions. The first one to arrive is Oreen Mishra's question. So, how much you miss the whole Yuba Bharati Stadium chanting Morgan, Morgan?
Yeah, I got to say, I mean, that was a bit special. I have to say that for me, yeah, definitely. I do. It's just it was one of them. It was a one-off day in your life where everything was going well, supporters were happy, and you know, for that to happen, fantastic.
Second last question to pop up. Opu Chakravarti's question, sir. What about your view on Alejandro Menendez Garcia as an East Bengal coach?
Is this the new coach?
No, he was the coach in the last season.
He was a coach last season. Yeah, I don't. I think did he get the job when the other coach left? Was he?
No. he was the coach who finished second in the 2018-19 season.
Okay.
And in the
yeah.
1920
I don't. Yeah, it's a difficult one because I've never met the man. You know, I've never been in his company. I've never spoken with him. So it's hard. It's hard for me to say how I feel of what he's like as a coach. But obviously, he's taken East Bengal into second place in the I League. So, you know, he's doing something right. But you know, I can't make a comment. It's hard. I've never met the guy.
Last question to pop up. I'd like to see on the screen. Let's see who comes up. Who's the lucky one? The last question on the screen. I mean, it's really difficult for the team to. Once again, it's from King Kuda. It's Arunava Bhattacharya. Coach, any chance of coming back to India in future? Nice to see you in the dugout. I think he has already asked this question before. I'd like to see one more.
He has, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'd like to see one more.
if there's a question, then I can ask one.
Yeah, there are so many questions.
Yeah, right.
You can ask. Yeah, surely.
I don't think anything is popping up. So one question I have, sir, for you is that ATK and Mohun Bagan have merged and become one entity. Before, we had an historical institution called Mohun Bagan, and we had ATK playing in the ISL. So there were around 44 players who got chance to play in professional football each year. Now, after they have merged, there is only one team and only 22 players will get the game time to play. So is it a good move for the game? And my second question is that what is the importance of having a robust youth system? How does it help in evolving and helping the game?
Well, I think it's going to be. I can't say it's going to be unfair on the 22 players who are going to miss out, because you know football is a cutthroat business. If you've got 44 players and you need 22, then you're going to pick the best 22. So that unfortunately means that 22 are going to miss out. But you know that really, you know, that's football and that's life. There's nothing you can do about that. I'm sure that somewhere they'll sort of funnel down the system and still continue to play football, but maybe not at that level. But again, don't give up. You've only got to play well where you are. You never ever know who's watching. You never know what's around the corner in football. So you have to take that with you wherever you go, whatever you're doing.
Last question I would like to ask you personally, but I mean King Kuda will ask this question for sure. Coach, if you
he knows the answer. He knows the answer to it as well. It would have to probably be the Federation Cup, the first one. When I first went to India, it sort of gave me it gave me breathing space. It gave the sort of supporters and the people at the club who brought me in. They backed me to come in and do the job, and I done it. So you know, it goes well for them, it goes well for me, and it went well for the supporters. And I came in new, I came in fresh. I really didn't know about the rivalry between the two clubs, but you know, I certainly knew about it once we got to the final. And winning that game, I feel was sort of the catalyst for me being in India and the supporters accepting me.
I have a last question to wrap it up. You were probably the first coach, the first foreign coach to be precise, in Kolkata, to get the love from both the big teams, in fact, East Bengal and Mohun Bagan. The Mohun Bagan fans too had high respect for you. And after that, the person who came onto the picture, everyone thought that you'd be the first foreign coach in Kolkata to lift the Hero I-League title. Then came the person, Kipu Vicuña. First season, bang. He won the Hero I-League title, and now he is in the ISL.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about Kipu Vicuña? I mean, a lot of Mohun Bagan fans.
Well, he's done. He did a fantastic job. Full stop. Which is why he's now progressed his own career. You know, that's the way it should be. That if the players play well, and a bigger club comes in, they're gone. You know, there's the money's bigger, the fame's bigger, the publicity is bigger. So he's used that as a stepping stone and moved on. And that's how it should be. If people are ambitious, that's always going to happen.
Trevor, 1 hour gone to close the show. It seems like it should go on and on and on. You have such a charming personality. Hope you
it's getting near my bedtime here.
Digital Idea is absolutely privileged to have you on the show. We hope that you have a fantastic future ahead. Hope you come back soon in India as well as in Kolkata. And I'm sure all the fans who watched this particular show, they had the same feeling. You are a person who will never change. You will remain as good as you were 10 years back. Ronak, you want to add something?
Thank you so much, firstly, for having me on the show. And thank you so much for joining in, sir. Before you leave, one question I personally have to ask is that do you have a leaving message for the East Bengal fans?
Yeah, of course. I just, support the team wherever they are, wherever they play, whatever league they're in, however they're doing. None of the players ever mean to miss a goal or hit a bad pass. I'm sure they all understand what it's like to play for a club so established as East Bengal. Stick behind the team all the time, and I wish everybody good luck for the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Just once before wrapping it up, Joy East Bengal. I think East Bengal fans would be happy because I had a lot of requirements, messages like, please ask Trevor to say Joy East Bengal once more.
To say what? Joy East Bengal, that one?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
I hope all the fans enjoyed it a lot. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Stay happy.
Thanks very much.